What made the red man red?
Oh, poopy. Well, Wolfpack, we've dreaded this day, but it seems we found another massively controversial episode of the Twilight Zone. And unfortunately, it's not in a good way. This tale has currently gone down as one of the most infamous episodes of the series, and is not fondly looked back on today. In this episode, we trail 3 idiot cadets training to be the very best, like no grunt ever was, but they trip into a time portal where they learn how to become real American heroes. From the greatest icon of US history, General Custer. Yeah, for realsies, this is the main idea and main issue of the episode. This arc seeks to praise General Armstrong Custer as an unsung hero to aspire to. Some rookie soldiers suck on Custer's ego, the infamous genocidal moron who slayed and raped dozens of natives and got his whole army killed with a stupid mistake, so we can learn what the true definition of a good soldier really is.
Man your stations! Red alert! Red alert! Take cover!
To say this story has not aged well is an understatement. For those of you too young to recall, back in the day, General George Armstrong Custer used to be regarded as a war hero, and his final stand was seen as a noble sacrifice he pulled to stand up to an overpowered enemy he was protecting the country from. So this episode portrays his historical moments as positive. This was before we knew what we know now about him, that Custer is not the role model history books back then glorified him as. Understandably, this has not benefited the episode, and is one of the rare failures of the Twilight Zone, because it shows its age, and misinformation this time, since the world has changed from this old mindset by now, and Custer's no longer a paragon figure for many. I know it's odd, since back then he was a good icon, but it still soils modern viewings. I legit respect the message it wants to teach, but the harsh truth is, this tale has not held up well, and it really should have chosen a better event, like the Alamo or the Civil War to represent. Anyone but Custer probably would have been less icky.
My eyes! My eyes!
Unfortunately, the controversy is a huge negative, which shoots this episode in the foot, and is a big reason why fans turn their backs on this embarrassment. But hey, let's be fair. What's the actual arc even about? We follow 3 rookie National Guard cadets driving their tank across Little Bighorn, practicing some war games, but accidentally stumble upon the site of Custer's last stand, when they trespass on an ancient Indian burial ground.
An ancient Indian what?
I genuinely love the intro of this episode, because it 100% fools you by starting out as something else. The opening has a trio of cowboys tracking Indian camps around the area to scope out trouble, making you think this is gonna be a classic Twilight Zone western, but suddenly, the natives ambush and kill them, where their gunfire is overheard by the rookie tank drivers. Totally out of nowhere, we go from Old West troopers to modern day tank warfare, and it's kind of hilarious how it jump cuts to them. That was a good fake out. The tank team are basically a ragtag bunch of dimwits who don't have much respect among their superiors, aren't quite good at this soldier shtick, and
Stupid, I'm stupider than you.
Now, the episode does contain some very interesting scares. The Indian burial ground and looming spirits of Little Bighorn are super unnerving. When the episode acts as a ghost story, it's quite decent, thanks to the supernatural vibes, an eerie dread of history about to happen, wicked spirits haunting the saps, and weird omens warning them to beware. If this was just kept as a simple ghost story, then I think I could have loved it, since the ghost horses, smoke, and bizarre Native American ghosts are well handled. But believe it or not, even without Custer's controversy, this episode still sucks. The main characters are total morons. Holy cow, they are dumb. They might be some of the stupidest characters of the Twilight Zone since Shoe Kingpin, and they make so many dolt decisions in this that they lose sympathy fast. They hear Indian war cries, but chalk it up as just the wind. They notice spooky stuff haunting about, but do nada over it. They babble on and on to their Sarge that they think ghosts are about, but of course he doesn't believe them. They literally find proof of time travel, such as teepees and ancient canteens, with Custer's insignia on them, but never use it to back them up. They have a frickin' tank and constantly ditch it to go to war zones on foot. And the dumbest moment of all is when they send one of their buddies alone and unarmed into a teepee town to see if there's real Indian warriors there, where, big shock, he gets attacked.
Somebody killed me.
Like, wow, these guys are so stupid. They make the heroes of Alien Covenant look like Apple geniuses. It's not bad enough they're Custer fanboys, but they're also dim-witted buffoons. No wonder they don't know how to be good soldiers. It's a miracle they lived long enough to be recruits. I'm glossing over a lot of the plot because honestly, nothing happens for most of it. The tanker trio stumble upon ghostly nightmares. They try telling the Sarge about it. He doesn't believe them. They act stupid and check it out themselves. Then they give us history lessons behind General Custer and Little Bighorn, and how super duper awesome he is, and rinse and repeat. If you're not offended by all the Custer worship, it's so bland and so boring that it feels like the show had a lack of substance to make you invested like on better plots. For an episode teaching you what makes a brave soldier so amazing, there sure is a ton of standing around and boring exposition. The closest thing we get to a character arc is that the drill sergeant doesn't respect the main unit, never believes them, and constantly reprimands them, so the trio try to appease him by following his orders, even when they know they're hot on the trail into ghost turf. Presumably, they reluctantly obey because they want to be true soldiers, and their never-ending love for Custer shows that they do know some history of war. The ending also implies that their point B they were meant to get to was learning that a good soldier perseveres even in the face of danger, which I'll admit is a good lesson, but the context is what wrecks it. More importantly, the episode is just way too slow. So many scenes are dragged on for far too long. I wasn't offended by this, just mega bored.
Damn it, Wade!
The only parts that I liked are the ghost Indians, since this was at least creepy and did add a sense of urgency when the trio realized that history is repeating itself, and soon they'll be sucked into the Battle of Little Bighorn itself, since their journey mirrors Custer's. That was cool up until we got to the ending. After one of their bros gets shot by an arrow, they make the brilliant decision of ditching their armored tank to take him back to camp on foot. But uh-oh, they arrived right on time at the big battle. And here's where we get to the most hated part. Realizing that they have no way out and have to make their own call, our heroes at last learn the value of being selfless, noble soldiers by joining the battle in order to save the life of the great Custer, and at least go down swinging as good guys in a last-ditch mission to change history.
What the fuck?
Yes, that is the bittersweet badass finale we were building up to. The idiots finally become brave men by dying a hero's death trying to save Custer, and go down helping him slaughter all those filthy, disgusting Injuns. Holy cow, has this ending not endured even for 1%. I honestly didn't think this episode was irredeemably bad, and truly did like a few moments up until this bad ending. This is a textbook example of a lousy ending which ruins the entire tale as a whole. Oh, and just to add some extra salt in the wounds, we don't even see the epic death battle. Yes, seriously, we don't see the Battle of Little Bighorn. We only see the trio reacting to it before getting a Bolivian army ending, and don't even enjoy the idiot brigade dying.
Let's do it! My God, this is even bigger than the final battle in the Lord of the Rings movie. It's like 10 times bigger than that battle.
This episode is so lame.
But wait! There's more!
After cutting away from all that boring war action, we get our twist ending. We cut to present day where the Sarge and some troopers are combing the valley, wondering what the hell happened to the tank bros, where they stumble upon the Custer Memorial, seeing that their men were telling the truth after all, and died, cause now their names are listed on the monument as fallen heroes. Ugh, man, talk about a dishonorable discharge. This episode is awful, precisely because of all the Custer crap, the dumbassery of the plot, and heroes, and how dull it flows. And the saddest part of it all is that it didn't have to be. I honestly see good elements in this junk, though what makes a good soldier tale is genuinely a great concept, and the horror movie atmosphere is strong. But they're bogged down by all the horse manure. I know it was a radically different period, and we didn't know Custer was far from a beacon of goodwill, but the protagonists idolizing him, and eventually joining his side of the battle to slay Injuns hasn't aged well. And even putting aside all controversy, the episode still sucks because it's boring and written horribly. It's slow, it's aimless, it's clunky, it's full of idiocracy, the pacing is painful, it has a lackluster climax, its scares all amount to nada, Serling's writing feels all over the place, and ultimately, it's so bland it's forgettable. I recommend writing far away from this episode, because the 7th is made up of phantoms is so bad that it harms the Twilight Zone's historical greatness. I grant this failure a decayed skull, and I, for one, cannot wait for the sequel where we go back to save Osama bin Laden.
Too bad they couldn't have brought the tank up. It would have helped.
The Twilight Zone.